Hi, you've got Amy Castleton for this week's dairy update from NZX again. We've seen a couple of announcements from Fonterra following last week's stellar GDT result. First of all, they raised their milk price at the end of last week, so the new range is up 40 cents to $7.30 to $7.90, making the new midpoint $7.60. This morning, they also announced their offer volumes on the GDT platform. And they noted that they've amended planned production in response to market price relativities, driven directly by that GDT result. They also noted that milk production is tracking in line with their forecasts. So those changes, whole milk powder, they've added 3,500 tonnes for next week's event. That's up 23.5% both on the last event and on the same event last year. They've also added another 11,500 tonnes over the next 12 months, with a 7,000 tonne increase in April and May, but a 2,500 tonne decrease in July and September. For skim milk powder, they've added 200 tonnes for the next event, with that all being added to Contract 6, or that's product to ship in September. That volume is still down on last year, so that's down by 1.8%. They've also added 200 tonnes to each of the next 4 events, but the 12-month offer volume is unchanged. For anhydrous milk fat, they've taken some volume off, so that's down by 350 tonnes for next week's event, and they've decreased April volumes by 650 tonnes. They've also removed volumes of cheese, so that's down 310 tonnes for next week's event, and over the next 12 months, volumes are down 820 tonnes, with that volume to be removed from events through April to August. Looking at the NZX dairy derivatives market, expectations for next week's event, prices are expected to increase a little bit more, but not nearly as much as we saw last week. So, based on settlement prices yesterday, a 0.7% lift for whole milk powder, a 3% lift for skim, a 1% lift for AMF, but a 2.5% decrease for butter. We've also seen several pieces of trade data out this week. So US January volumes of exports were down overall, with a 9.6% decline in skim milk powder. Most of that was a decrease to Mexico. There was a 10.2% decline in cheese exports. Interestingly, Korea slipped into first place for US cheese exports, and that was up 38% year on year. But that was outweighed by a 49% decline in volume sent to Mexico. Whey exports also lifted from the States. That was largely due to a 92% increase in volume that was exported to China. Australian January dairy exports were also down overall, but they did have an increase in cheese exports, up 1.7%. Milk powders were down, so that drove most of the decline because we also saw an increase in whey, butter and AMF exports. European December exports have also been finalised, so they were up overall, with the largest increase liquid milk and cream exports, so that was up 26%, and a good proportion of that went to China, which was up 95% for January. Cheese exports were up 11%, with a lift in volume that was sent to Japan. And skim milk powder exports were up 8%, with an increase in volume sent to China, so that was up 70%. But volume sent to Algeria were down 47%, so that would have been an O'Neill tender that they won at this time last year, but they didn't win again for the next round this time around. That's it for this week, and we'll see you again next week with an update on next week's GDT.